This is AL Big Madame, and you know why I'm here. So let me go ahead and get this thing going. Last night, the third episode, if I'm not mistaken, of Family or Fiancé came on, and it was covering the relationship of Falasha and Chris. So I want to say that this was the first time that I had seen a couple come on here, and from the beginning, I felt like it was promising. I was like, I ain't getting no red flags and no bells going off, like nothing, no kind of alarm is going off in my mind. It seemed pretty solid. So, I just want to lead with that. So, yeah. So, interesting enough, which I love, they met at church. I was like, yes! And, that does not mean anything. As you know, some of the biggest horrors and crazy, evil, and everything else in between people live down at the church. So, I'm just saying. But I do think that that was cute. And, a really nice thing that happened for them is that they met at church. I thought that was pretty cool. But again, like I said, some of the biggest demons are at the church. They right down there right now at the church. Just saying. Let's be real. So anyway, he was an usher and he saw her. He was seating people. And he made a little joke talking about he saw her. He said, I think he said something about 22 inches or something. I think he was talking about booty. He was either talking about hair or booty, but it made me laugh and it made her laugh. And she was like, you need to stop. So anyway, he was just saying that he liked the way she carried herself. And I was like, that is just so cute. So yeah, he just was like, look, I had to remember I was at church. I was like, sir, he did the most. So anyway, Falasha said that his mother has so many issues with her and it just doesn't resonate that well with her because she kind of doesn't really grasp why, because she feels as though she hasn't done anything to his mother in order for her to feel that way. And he said he really needs his mother's blessing. He really, 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 really needs it to go forward. So they got to the house. Tracy McMillan ended up giving them a tour as usual. And, they started, discussing some stuff. Apparently he is considered to be, whether he said it himself or not, an Americanized African. Okay. And that's not to say that that's a negative thing. At least that's not that is not a negative connotation that he is trying to make it seem like it is, or anybody else is trying to make it seem like it is. It seems like he's fine with that. He actually veers more towards the American culture at times than he does his African culture. His mother has doubts about them getting married because she doesn't feel like he's mature enough. She feels like he is just not worthy of Falasha, and she feels like he's disrespectful to her, meaning his own mother, and doesn't respect her in public, and he has these attitudes with her, all this other stuff. So on her side, the bride-to-be, her mother's coming, her friend is coming, this girl who is a friend is coming, and her brother's coming. From his family and or, friends side of it all, his mom is coming, his uncle is coming, and his youngest sister is coming. So the tasks that Tracy McMillan gave them were, for him, he needed to sit down with his uncle in order to figure out what he needed to learn, or what he felt he needed to learn from him in order to be a man or be a king, so that he can actually be a good man and husband to his wife to be, because they don't feel like he's ready to get married. For her task is for her to go out with his mother and look for some African outfits and garments and such, because she doesn't dress the part. She doesn't know anything about their culture. She doesn't cook any of the food. She doesn't, wear any of the garments, all this other stuff. So she feels as though she needs to go out with his mom and go shopping, and then they can discuss some other things. So her people showed up first, and they were all excited. It seems like her family, for the most part, especially the person who really their opinion means the most, which is her mother, she seems to be on board with it all. Everything went fine with that. And then later on, his folks showed up. Her mom said that she felt like his mom gave her like a half of a hug and kind of like patted her back or something. And I was like, oh gosh. And so, she already has expressed her grievances about his mom anyway. She just feels like she's just mean and standoffish and all this other stuff. And a lot of other people feel the same way. So, basically, in essence, she just feels like she didn't give her a real hug, and that's not cool and that's not fair, especially since they are essentially, potentially going to be family. So they end up having the family meeting, and they discuss the tasks. And his mama, Lord, she need to get a poker face, because you could just tell that she just don't be here for nothing. I'm just like, doggone, y'all ain't even did nothing yet. And you already look like you just here so you won't get fined, and you tired in your spirit, and ain't nothing even happened yet. So, he just really kept making it plain, and she did as well, the fiance, that they really want his mother's blessing. And of course, he wants the blessing from everyone, but he really would love it mainly from his mom, and especially also from his uncle Kwame. I'm sorry, y'all. So at that moment within the little family meeting, that was a time where they could bring up, reasons why they are here or they're not here for their possible union. And his mama brought up a situation that happened like years ago, which was his mother is over the women's ministry. And so Falasha was supposed to help her with the children's part of it. Apparently she was on her phone, on Facebook, and doing whatever she was doing, just not tending to the kids. And so that has rubbed her the wrong way ever since. And so she ain't here for it, and she's always held it over her head. So instantly the son and the mama get into a huge argument, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like Jesus, Lord. Like, it was bad. Like, it had gotten so bad that he left out, and Falasha went after him, and like he went outside, like he was fuming. I was like, Lord have mercy. So, like I said, both of them got really upset, and he was just like, this was like 3-4 years ago, and she keep on bringing it up, want to always hold it over his head, over her head. And she said, I guess he feels like she brings it up as a way to say, oh, well, this is the reason why you're not ready to get married, because really one has nothing to do with the other, but that's the only thing she can ever conjure up to say is the reason why. Lord, y'all. So, like I said, he went outside, he got upset, he had to cool off, and his uncle ended up coming outside, his Uncle Kwame, and he was like, you gotta be mindful of the way you talk to your mom, and she's probably looking at you like, well, that's even more ammunition that I can use, not in your favor, to tell her, look how he talked to me. You shouldn't be with him. Look how he talked to me. I'm his own mom. What do you think he's gonna do to you? So his uncle was like, look, you already know what you need to do. You need to go and apologize to your mom. You need to make things right. So I kind of thought it was cute when they went shopping, his mom and Falasha. They went shopping, and the mom was showing her some of the stuff, and it was just really, really cool. She ended up showing her this dance. She said that it was called Aduwa. I think I said it right. I hope so. But it's a dance where you kind of like look like she was like doing something like this, but then you gotta poke your booty out while you're doing it. And she made a point to say that, and like she really had like Falasha dying laughing, but she was dead serious. And so she showed her like little pieces that had like kente cloth or whatever the patterns were that you could tell it was African, that she put around her head and all this other stuff. So they were trying on little pieces, and that was, you know, it seemed like that was doing fine. Their meeting was going fine. But yeah. So later on she said, you know, she has character flaws, and he said, well, his mom said that she doesn't understand why she didn't speak up and basically tell her son, hey, you can't speak to your mama like that and all this other stuff. So that's another reason why she has a problem with her, because she feels like Falasha is more mature than her own son. And she was like, well, you know, your son is your son, and I don't understand why you would think that I needed to speak up. And that was what her reasoning was. She was just like, you're more mature than my son. You should speak up when you see he's disrespecting me. You should correct that. So I was just like, Lord, that's crazy. You and your son need to have a one-on-one. Why you think somebody else need to interject themselves into y'all's random beef that all in all, it's really stupid. It's really crazy. It really even shouldn't be beef, but there is random beef. I'm just like, oh gosh. So anyway, everyone ends up back at the house a little bit later on, and cooking is going on. You can tell it's some kind of African food being cooked. It look all delicious and things. And so while the cooking was happening, Falasha's friend pulled her to the side, and she said something about how she never sees her cry. And she was like, oh, I only cry at church. And so she laughed a little bit, but she was like, wow, you know, I've seen your mom break down and all this other stuff, but I never see you cry. And she was like, look, you know, I'm all for your happiness, but I don't want to see you hurt. And she said something about how she needs to set boundaries with him and his mom, you know, in an effort to make sure that that doesn't happen. And that, you know, his mama, you know, said something about how he needs to stop being rude to her and being argumentative and arrogant, and especially when they're in public. You know, that's something his mama just was like, look, you need to stop doing this to me, stop being like this towards me, especially in public. Just look at the way you talk to me. Y'all, I was just taken aback. I'm talking about off rip. They was just arguing. I was like, what in the world is this history about? So anyway, they ended up having the dinner. They started dinner. And so Chris kind of wanted to try to break the ice, especially since the argument happened earlier. And he was like, you know, if anyone has anything to say, feel free. And nobody said anything. It was like Falasha was like this. She was like, I was like, girl, because it was so tense in there. It really was very, very tense and all that good stuff, y'all. It was so bad that, like, after a few minutes, his mama just got up and, like, left in the middle of dinner and was like, yeah, maybe I want to associate or do whatever after I, you know, have a good night's sleep. Like, she just left. It was just, I was just like, oh, my gosh, ma'am. So, anyway, now we're on the second day of the 3-day, you know, situation that they do. They do it for 3 days. So we're on the second day, and Chris ended up sitting down with his sister outside, and you know, he was like, well, I noticed you haven't really said anything. And so she was like, yeah, I've just been being observant. And you know, she ended up expressing her frustrations about how he doesn't want people to view their mom the way that they currently do, which is that she's just so mean and all this other stuff. And you know, explain to him like, look, you have to understand that your mom was single. She raised us, all of us, our siblings and us, without a father on her own, and you were her king. apparently he was the oldest, I guess, from the way she said that. She was like, he was your king. You were her king, I'm sorry. And, you know, she really got emotional about that. And so, you know, he kind of started to come around and understand what was going on as far as that was concerned. And so she was like, look, you know, I understand that, and I apologize for making you feel the way you felt, because she really just felt like he wasn't defending their mother in the moments where people were just looking at her side eye like, all right, now your mama kind of out of pocket and some more, which she kind of was, but still. And, you know, he was just like, look, I have a lot to prove, you know, to her and their mom. And so they ended up going on by their business. They did another check-in, and they discussed what happened the previous day and earlier that day. And he ended up expressing how he reacted in that moment towards his mother and how he was so frustrated, and, you know, ended up telling him that he needs to tell his mother that, you know, the way that she is expressing herself to him, saying that he isn't mature. In essence, she actually isn't acting mature, and that she needs to move forward, because she wants to hold on to this thing that his fiance did 3, 4, 5 years ago instead of moving forward. That's being childish and that's being immature. But Tracy ended up telling him, like, look, you need to say that to your mama. And he was like, well, I'm scared if I say that, I'm gonna get killed. And so she was like, well, you need to stand up to her and essentially get killed then, like, if you really want your relationship to go forward and last. So, you know, that's his task. So he ended up meeting up with his mama outside, sitting down somewhere, and Falasha was with them. And he said that, you know, he kept trying to explain to his mama, like, look, you saying all this stuff about us, about me mainly, but I feel as though Falasha brings out the best in me. So then it kind of went left for a second, and she ended up excusing herself, Falasha, so that they could talk one-on-one, because she was like, it's not about me. I don't want to be in the middle of this. So, you know, he was like, I don't want to keep trying to fight for your approval anymore. And Falasha will be his number one, and she will always be his mother. You know, trying to get her to just understand, like, you can let me go. I'm going to be where I need to be with Falasha, but you can't just treat me like all mad and just immature, like he was saying, because you want to hold a grudge and be mad about something that you shouldn't even be holding on to. So, you know, just can't keep holding stuff over his head. And so she still was like, I'm still not ready to give you my blessing. So even though Tracy McMillan, if she did do it, she did it off camera, she didn't give them the task of doing the 20 questions or whatever, 21 questions. But they ended up doing it when they had dinner or lunch this next time we see them eat. And so everybody did what they did before and wrote down a question directed at whoever, and they put it in a fishbowl and drew out the different ones, and people went around the room and picked something and read it out loud. So the main things that were discussed were, they asked what was his favorite food, right? His mama said fufu. And so Falasha said something I had never even heard of before, and that ended up being the right answer. And his mama looked so embarrassed, like, ma'am, you don't even know your child's favorite food. You don't know your child's favorite food. Oh my gosh. And it was an African dish. She looked so embarrassed. I was like, oh. But yeah. But it just was a good dinner. It was a good release of everything. Everybody was laughing. Everybody was having fun. And they got all their grievances out. It looked like everything went well. So they ended up having the final check later on with Tracy McMillan, and they explained again what happened and how everything seemed to go well. And, you know, of course, he does want that blessing, but he doesn't know if he's going to get it. And he thinks that the barriers are being broken down. Falasha actually feels closer to him than she's felt before. And, you know, now they're about to go ask for blessings. So basically everybody gave their blessings. And his mama said, you know, a whole lot to say that I'm gonna give you my blessing for now, and she could take it back when she want to. And I was just like, girl. But anyway, when she did get up, she, you know, actually embraced Falasha and was like, you're not my daughter-in-law to be. You are going to be my daughter-in-love. I thought that was so sweet. So they ended up doing a little update at the end, and they got married. Like I said at the beginning, I was so glad. I was like, please let these people make it, because I didn't see nothing. Usually I see stuff off rip and I'd be like, this is not gonna work. Like, why are y'all even together? But they ended up working out well. They had like little pictures from the wedding. It looked amazing. It looked like a lot of people were there. They ended up getting married in the church that they met in, and his uncle Kwame ended up being the officiant over it. So I was like, y'all did the most. Y'all did the most. I'm here for it. But yeah, that was the review on that. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know if you liked it down in the comment section. If I left something out or if I messed something up, let me know, because I am human. I make mistakes all the time. I'm sorry for coughing from time to time and clearing my throat. But like I said, I'm trying to make sure I don't get a cold, because they do the most at my job. But anyway, subscribe if you want to. You know, like it if you want to. Do what you do. Anyway, I hope y'all are having a wonderful Sunday, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.